My name is Hinds. I'm the host of the Ideas2Life podcast. And recently we started doing our podcast interviews by video because they're a lot more engaging. They're a lot more fun. Being able to see the people that we're interviewing creates a different dynamic. So if you're watching this, you have an opportunity to watch the podcast. And some of you might be listening to this back as a playback on iTunes or whatever other medium you get your podcast through. So invite you to share it, like it, subscribe, do whatever you need to do to make sure that other interviews like this will get into your feed right away so you don't miss some of this good stuff. Today, we're excited to have as our guest Fiana Patrice of Approach2Link. Fiana, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. You're someone from up north in Canada.
Yes, representing Toronto.
Yeah, I love Canada. Love Canada. Oh, Canada.
Which part have you been to? Canada as a country.
I know that is terrible. I've been to Toronto. And I love Toronto. Very clean, nice city, wonderful diversity. And because I'm from the islands, I can get island food when I go to Toronto. So I love Toronto. Yeah. Well, Fiana, you are the founder, director. You lead Approach2Link. And I want you to kind of just tell those who are watching this, those who will be listening to this, what is Approach2Link all about?
All right. So it's an initiative I started as a solution to a problem that I was noticing when I was going to like networking events and mix and mingles. Mm-hmm. All these events, they have the intention of people to meet and the intention is really for people to meet other people. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the times you go there and then you end up leaving with no contact or what have you. And I realized that it had a lot to do with people not knowing exactly how to approach. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people weren't really looking approachable. So I felt like people really needed help in that area. As a singles ministry director for about 5 years, I noticed that was a problem when I had events. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to provide that solution.
Okay. So you were a singles ministry director at your church. And by the way, someone is wanting to tell you hi right away. I don't know if you can see that. Tania.
Oh, hi, Tania.
Yeah, you're pretty popular already. Hey, and thank you, Tania, for saying that because you reminded me of something. If you have a question, you can go ahead and just drop it in the comment box and we'll try to get around to the questions that you asked. So you just giving us some background. You were a singles ministry leader at your local church. And as a part of that, you saw these mix and mingles and people would come there with the expectation of meeting people. And you were saying the challenge was that it wasn't happening the way it was built up to happen.
Correct. And it's really because people didn't really have the strategies, especially people who are shy. Like mm-hmm. You have people who are extroverted and have no problem. Like, well, even some extroverted people are shy in that area. But when it comes to approaching, they really don't know like how to initiate that conversation. And some people, even though they want to be approached, they're not giving the vibe that they want to by looking unapproachable.
Okay. So, I mean, how many years ago did you start Approach2Link?
Well, if I include the times that I kind of was doing it when I was a singles ministry director, mm-hmm. It'll probably be about 7 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you saw a problem and maybe we'll get into this. Were you experiencing that problem yourself? But then you started doing something about it and kind of realized you had something that needed a name and something that needed some organization behind it. But yeah, kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So going back to planning the events that I used to do, I started really being focused on how to make those events easier for people to interact with people. So my first event where I really implemented that as my mission was my birthday party. Okay. My 28th birthday party. And actually Facebook reminded me of that today because when I did promo for the event, I made this promo video and Facebook reminded me of the video I posted advertising for that event. Mm-hmm. And that event was a themed event where I had the women wearing brooches and the men wearing cufflinks. And the name of the event was called Approach a Brooch to Link a Cufflink. So from there is kind of where the Approach2Link name was born, from that event.
Awesome. 7 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Now, you describe yourself as a shy individual. I've read your bio, checked out your website, and you describe yourself as a shy individual, yet you've started this ministry, this business to help people approach others and be more approachable. How is it possible? And how can you convince us that you're actually shy and you started something like this?
Yeah, some people find it hard to believe that I'm shy because I'm doing stuff like this, like these interviews and doing workshops, and I'm able to speak and appear to not be afraid. But I'm still deep down inside have fears, even though it doesn't look like it. But I have developed strategies that really worked for me, and I now share it with others based on my own experiences. And I think the reason why Approach2Link is successful is because I'm relatable.
I want to stay on that a little bit. Before we started the live broadcast, let me tell those who are watching and those who are listening, you confessed you were nervous about this, right? Yes. Now, we've been rolling for about 10 minutes now, and there is nothing that I'm getting from this camera that tells me that you're nervous. So kind of talk to us, because you're someone who watches people like yourself, people who are speaking or leading, and they think, oh man, they must not struggle. They don't struggle with nerves, being shy, having those feelings of wanting to draw back. So people tell themselves, well, then that's not meant for me. But kind of talk to us. How do you navigate that? What are some of your strategies for doing it while nervous, pressing forward while shy?
Well, for me, what I find helpful is that I practice what I'm going to say, or at least think about what I'm going to say before like entering like interview situations. I already have an idea of what I'm going to say. So once I'm prepared, I that helps me a lot. Because I find that when I'm not prepared, I'm more nervous.
Okay.
So preparation and practice really helps.
Okay. Preparation, practice. That's good. All right. And still, with all the preparation, all the practice, do you still have feelings of whatever? I don't know, knots in the stomach, butterflies. Do you still have those feelings? And do you still make yourself press ahead, even in spite of those?
I still do have those feelings, and I press ahead. Just because, even though I have these, because a lot of times I'm nervous because I don't know what to expect. But then as I get used to it, I start to feel more relaxed because I'm getting used to what's happening and what to expect.
Cool. I hope that so far you're beginning to relax a little bit more in our interview.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now tell us, Fiana, tell us about your background. Tell us a little bit about your education and your work background, so we can understand a little bit about you, because I think that kind of plays into Approach2Link as well.
Yes. So my educational background is in behavioral science and educational psychology / school psychology. And I've been working in the school psychology field for the past 10 years at a school board in Toronto, just outside of Toronto. So I have a good set of years of psychological experience that I also apply to the tips that I share when it comes to approaching and just like interpersonal relationships and psychology when it comes to social psychology.
Behavioral science. So you are bringing some of your educational and your work experience into this venture as well.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, now for some people, they kind of feel, they kind of wonder, with a psychology background, different kind of backgrounds, how can I even make this into, I don't know, do you call this a business? Do you call this a ministry? What do you call it?
I call it both.
Okay. Yeah.
Originally, when I started, though, I wasn't really thinking of thinking it as a business because I wasn't really business minded at the time. The only reason why I started turning into a business is because people were approaching me, asking for me to do paid things for them. So that's kind of how I realized, okay, this could be a business.
Yeah.
And when it came to the event planning, I also realized that in order for it to be sustainable, I would need to have some type of return of investment because I was putting a lot of investment in it to plan those events, but not really much of a return. Yes. So I had to start thinking more business-like in order for it to be sustainable.
Sure. Now, you know, there's a word that you use on your website, approachability. Kind of help me define that word because I want to unpack that word and then figure out how that's connected to business. What's approachability?
All right. So approachability is basically being open and available, but not desperate to be open to meeting people. And that could be with regards to romantic relationships or business relationships, just being open to meeting people in general.
Okay, so this is not just, and just so that we kind of rescue this from someone's what we might think in the wrong way. This is not just about meeting someone of the opposite sex to enter into a romantic relationship. You talk about business relationships, friendship relationships. Everyone needs to work on their approachability.
Correct.
Okay. So now, when did you figure out, like what blows my mind is, when did you figure out approachability, teaching people about approachability and creating approachable opportunities can become a business? Because that's real cool to me. I want to admit that this is one of those businesses I go, that's pretty cool. When did you figure that out?
Well, yeah, so it's more so now that I'm starting to really focus on it being a business, because before I was just doing it for fun.
Okay.
So the business aspect that I'm trying to push now is more workshops, online course. I'm trying to work on creating an online course. Also, people ask me to do interactive activities at their events. So like I'll lead out in interactive activities. I'm doing one-to-one consultation, helping people who require help becoming more approachable, those who are shy and really want to overcome their shyness by applying different strategies that I share. So I do one-to-one consultation in that aspect as well. So that's where it's turning into a business now.
Yeah. Now, it was fun at first. You say, you're seeing the potential for helping people in a way that creates some income. Does it take away any of the fun when you're doing it as a business as well?
No, actually, it's still fun. I still like what I do. Even though people in the past have tried to discourage me, I still continue going.
Okay.
In spite of that.
Okay. You gave me a nice segue here because you said people just tried to discourage you. So what were some of the obstacles that you faced in implementing or even pursuing this idea of Approach2Link? What are some of the things you had to kind of get through?
Well, yeah, the discouragement is one. So people would say that it's not real. People wouldn't be really interested in it. People's not really interested in what I have to say. And also people would think that it's not a business that can actually make money from. And the people who thought it was only about just dating, those people were kind of skeptical about it too, because I thought it was just for people who are looking for a relationship. So I had to kind of debunk that as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
So your biggest obstacles really had to do with what other people's negative comments, or some who might have been well-meaning, but people who just really didn't see the vision of what this could become. Yeah.
So that was one aspect, but I think another thing was the return of investment too. Initially, when my focus was event planning, because when I just started, that was mostly my focus, doing events. and I would put a lot of time, energy, and money into it and not really get much of a return financially, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of scaled back on that for now. I still want to do it because they're still fun and people still ask about it and are interested in going to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just need to figure out a way of it not being, or me not being in the negative when it comes to how much time and money I put into it.
Okay. So you've kind of made a little shift in terms of what you are spending your energies on. You're doing the coaching, the one-on-one or the master class, those kind of things more than events right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. That's the wisdom to shift approaches even within the same umbrella of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Those of you who are watching, this might be your time to really start asking questions because we want to get into some free. You're going to give us a free session right now on improving approachability. All right. So help someone who is watching or listening to this. What is one thing they can do to become more approachable or to break out of their shell and approach others? Kind of let's talk. Help me. I want to become more approachable.
Okay. So there's two kind of branches. So I deal with approachability and I deal with approaching.
Okay.
So approachability, one tip that I would share is removing distractions. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times we have things in our hand, like our phone, or we might be listening to something, or we might be reading a book or a magazine, like when we're on the train or on the bus. And when you have those things available to you and your attention is towards that, you're not presenting yourself as approachable.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody who wants to approach you now sees that you're already busy on your phone or reading a book. They're not going to approach you because they don't want to interrupt you. So if you want to be approachable, you have to put away those things and look like you're available to start a conversation. So that's approachability tip.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip. That's a very good tip because not me, but someone who I know very closely is guilty of that. And I can see that helping that person who's very close to me to be approachable.
I hope they're watching.
Yes. Okay. Well,
for a tip for approaching now, my favorite tip that I give, and a lot of people who follow me on social media are aware of my favorite tip because I find it to be successful every time you use it, and that is give a compliment. So if you give a compliment to somebody, that starts a conversation. And with regards to somebody who is very close to you, is that the person that you're talking about?
No, the person knows that I was talking about myself.
Oh. Okay, so yeah. So you give the compliment, they respond in a positive way, and you can follow up with a question, and that kind of starts the conversation going.
Okay. Now let me challenge you a little bit because you say to approach people, one of the ways to break the ice is to approach with a compliment. And let's say you might be in a work environment and you want to do some networking, or you're maybe in a church environment, you just want to get to know people better. How do you give a compliment that doesn't come across as something that is more than, people don't take it the wrong way? How do you guard against that?
So there's many different types of compliments that you can give.
Okay.
So in a professional environment, you might want to stay away from the physical compliments. Okay. And you could compliment them on like their work performance, for example. That could be an example of a compliment that you could give in the work environment. And even in the church environment, you could talk about their performance in their abilities to do ministry, for example.
Okay. Someone's saying here that they love the compliment tip that their husband said that his father used to do that, like nice shoes or pretty hairstyle.
Yes. And when you give the compliment, of course, the person is going to respond positively. So those who are afraid of rejection might want to use this as their gateway, because even if the person is not necessarily interested romantically, they still would respond favorably to a compliment.
Okay. But, it's very interesting. And I don't mean to just keep, throwing out things that might be problematic. But there are some people you give a compliment and they respond to the compliment with, oh, you're just making that up, or that's not so. So they sort of try to devalue the compliment or deflect the compliment. How do you continue to build and approach that person so that you create a relationship or you create a greater contact?
Well, for the person who gave the compliment could still follow up with a question. But the person receiving the compliment, that is another aspect that I touch on too, because you want the person who's approachable needs to know how to accept a compliment. So I try to teach that as well to the person who's approachable, that they shouldn't respond that way to a compliment, because that doesn't really encourage conversation when you respond that way.
So another way of being more approachable is when you are complimented, receiving it gracefully.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to go back to being approachable. There's some people who might have been told, okay, you don't smile enough, your face, you come across very serious, you're very you're business-like. For people who have that type A personality, what's a tip you can give them for being more approachable?
Well, I've been told that my resting face looks mean ever since I was a child. When I go to church, people are like, oh, you can't smile. And I'm like, you could smile at me first. So I've made a conscious effort to at least make my face look pleasant, especially when I get in eye contact with somebody else. So if I get in eye contact with somebody else, I make sure my face is pleasant and even give like a half smile where it's not like a full grin where they think I'm crazy, but like a half smile so they can see that I'm pleasant looking and I don't look mean.
Okay.
So people who have a similar type of personality or facial expression should be aware of that and try to correct it by looking pleasant.
Okay. So one of the ways to look pleasant is to smile.
Correct.
I guess that goes with that song we learned a long time ago. This person, Kelly Paris, she followed up her last comment. She said her father-in-law, that she mentioned earlier, was a major soul winner and brought many people to Christ with these icebreaker that she mentioned. It's just the power of approaching people the right way. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And that's another aspect that I want to start looking at, how to approach people to share the gospel. Because even with myself, I kind of feel fearful just going up to random people and just talking to them about Christ. Like, I'm more comfortable with people I know talking, but I always admire people who are able to just like maybe give somebody a book or a pamphlet or whatever. But I'm starting to think like, what is the best way of doing that so the person receives it well and the person that's giving it feels comfortable doing it. So that's another aspect that I'm kind of thinking at the back of my mind to start exploring.
Right. Awesome. Now you mentioned that you work full-time. You're a school counselor, if I got that correct.
Well, my title is psychoeducational consultant, and what I do specifically is assess children to see if they qualify for special education.
Okay.
So I would be the one to discover if children have a disability.
Okay. And so you mentioned that your work background, your educational background, they both helps you in understanding some of the things to start Approach2Link. But now, how do you balance your full-time career and kind of building this business of this business venture that you're on?
The balance is hard because I really like doing Approach2Link, and it takes a lot of time to really prepare like content and also try to develop the aspects, like products that I could actually sell. So doing that plus making sure I'm on top of my things at work and completing reports on time, and then also home life, keeping on top of that and balancing that. I'm trying to also become registered as a psychological associate, so that requires me to do some exams.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to study for that, which I still have to motivate myself to study again after being out of school for so long. But yeah, so it's hard to find that balance, but I'm trying to implement scheduling and putting to-do lists together and trying to follow that. I'm still trying to get used to having that, but I'm trying my best to do that.
Well, I want to thank you for your honesty on that answer, because I think a lot of people watching this have a passion to do something, but most of us have a job. And you just really just let us know that it is a tension of balancing your job and your pursuit of your career. And you mentioned even things that you need to do to advance that career, and also pursuing something that you have a definite passion and a love for, and giving both of them the time, plus, your home life and your personal life. So for people looking to move forward with something, they have to understand that there is sacrifice and there is a lot of work involved, don't they?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of pitch ourselves into the future. Where do you want Approach2Link to go forward? What do you see as the next step for this? And what do you see as the potential that it can offer to people?
I'm hoping to reach out to as many people as I can and help them to overcome their shyness and also be more comfortable in approaching and meeting people. Because I think a lot of our desire is to have friendship and to meet people, and also to have opportunities for business and opportunities for a relationship if it's marriage. So if I could help people in those aspects, I think that would be very fulfilling.
Yeah. So you want to continue to just allow it. From what I'm hearing, even though this is a business now, your passion is really helping people.
Yeah.
Kelly is, I appreciate this. She's giving a lot of great feedback. She said that this interview has been great. It's giving her a lot of reminders, and she started practicing saying hello to anyone that she passes in the grocery store, walking in the park, or exercising. Everyone doesn't say hello, but a lot of people respond back and say it in kind. It has also helped to get her out of her comfort zone. It is challenging, but worth it.
Yes, I'm glad you're doing that, Kelly. And I noticed that with myself, when I make that effort to say hi to people, it kind of changes your own attitude, because you feel positive, like you're going forward, you're smiling, and it helps your mood when you are approaching life that way.
Awesome. Now, Fiana is the director of Approach2Link. Again, if you have any questions, please drop it there in the comment box. But Fiana, for someone else who might be thinking about something, they realize they're good at something. You realize approachability was something that you needed. You saw as a need for yourself and for others, and you said, okay, I want to pursue this and help people with this. But for someone else pursuing an idea, what's the biggest advice you could give to them in pursuing maybe a ministry idea, a business idea, some sort of just venture that they have? What is the biggest piece of advice that you would share with them in launching out?
I would say to get as much information about launching as possible. I'm starting to do that now, and kind of wished I knew this at the beginning, so I could have had a nice foot to start off on, but it's never too late. But I'm learning like different things on how to increase engagement on your social media, taking like online workshops and stuff like that, learning about that, and also how to get your products out there to people. Because I know with Facebook and a lot of on Instagram too, they're trying to limit who sees your stuff, so, and they want you to pay. So learning more about that and how to invest in that area without losing money. So I'm starting to learn that too. So I would recommend that people who are going into their business to do a lot of research so that they don't lose money and try to get their return of investment by doing the research first.
Awesome. I'm glad you said that people need to do our research, and we also have to continually keep finding ways to get the word out about what we're doing. But I want to commend you for making a start, because sometimes we get so paralyzed with what we don't have that we never get a chance to offer what we do have to the world and to others around us. And so I'm glad that you actually launched out there, and right now you're continuing to work on what you have out there. Yeah. So Fiana, I know you have a free ebook, and I want you to tell people how to get it. I'm going to put it in the comment section when you say it, but tell us how we can get that free resource.
All right, so I developed a free ebook on how to start a conversation in 60 seconds using a simple trick. So I go into detail about that trick. And all you have to do is just put in your email, and then you get the ebook for free.
What's the website?
So it's Approach2Link, approach2link.com.
Okay. And I put it there. And if you want, it's going to be on the screen as well, but it's also in the comment section for those who are watching, approach2link.com. And you can get that free ebook.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to make you say it, but wow, you said there's just one trick to starting a conversation in 60 seconds.
Yes.
All right, you're not going to tell us, but please read the book, because you need to get that tip, that tool, that trick to start good conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So Fiana Patrice, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Any things that you want to just share with someone that you just feel like it's on your heart, for those who might be thinking about starting something, any ideas, just, maybe even for people who are talking about being more approachable or approaching it, this, whatever you want to just share in the last few, I want to just give you an opportunity to do that.
All right. So when it comes to launching your business, I say to do it. Even if you're fearful, just do it. Even if it's just a little bit at a time, just go out there and do it. When it comes to approaching, I know we're fearful sometimes of the reaction that we're going to get, but I say to at least, even if you feel the fear, just to approach anyway. So approach, and also when it comes to approachability, just be mindful of your body language, and so that you could present yourself as somebody who's open to being approached.
Awesome. It's awesome stuff. I learned some things already that will help me to be more approachable and also to approach better. And I want to thank you for that. For those who are watching this, I want to also let you know you've been watching a live version of the Ideas2Life podcast. And for those who would like to go back and to listen to past interviews, I put a link up on the screen. It's KimonHinds.com/Ideas2Life. And you can subscribe there based on whatever channel or platform you're on. And also, if you like the Facebook page that this video is being streamed on, there are other interviews that you can go back and watch with others who inspire us, like Fiana did this evening, and there'll be more coming up. And so I want to best make sure you take advantage of those different tools that are for your disposal. Fiana Patrice, thank you. Thank you for what you are doing to help people to make better connections, better relationships, and to become more approachable. So I'm going to learn to smile a little bit more because of this. Thank you so much.
Great. You're welcome.
All right. And thank you for all who watched. Y'all have a great evening.
Okay. Good night, everyone.